Hi, I'm Iron Drager, and this is my PKHonor guide for the Chambers of Xeric. Let's begin. What is the Chambers of Xeric? The Chambers of Xeric, also known as Raids 1, is a long encounter that includes various different mini-bosses and puzzle rooms, with the final battle being against the Great Olm. Every room has its own mechanics that I'll explain within this guide to help you complete the rooms. Within the raid, there are 8 different mini-bosses and 4 puzzle rooms. For a regular raid, you can choose between different combinations of the rooms when you scout for a raid. When and if challenge mode raids release in PKHonor, you will have to complete all the rooms in the order presented within this video. If you're looking for a specific encounter, there are timestamps below in the description. We will now go over different proposed gear setups. These screenshots come courtesy from Empty Pot. For players who are able to obtain the best gear in the game and have multiple comp capes, the Comp Ridge setup is a good baseline setup. You may substitute certain items that fulfill the same role, such as Arma for Pernix, etc. There are encounter-specific items you can substitute in as well, such as a Grazi Rapier if you have Vasa. Besides your main gear switches between Mage, Range, and Melee, you should bring a Sanfew Serum for Vespula and Shamans, and an Inferno Adds for Shortcuts and Guardians. If you have Tekton, you should bring your best crush weapon if you don't have a Scythe. The next setup is the Void Comp setup. If this is your first time at CoX, you are comped and your team doesn't want to make supplies within the raid, I suggest using a setup like this for your first few raids, so you have extra supplies for Olm and less switches when learning the mechanics. The final setup is a Max Cape setup. If you have a Soul's Whip and you are starting to get comfortable with the mechanics, feel free to bring more switches. Barrow's gear is more than enough to get through a raid once you've learned the mechanics. To start a raid, you must be in the Clan chat channel and select the bulletin board to start a raid party. Anyone within your chat channel can join you in the raid. You can also set your room preferences here at the board. Single clicking a room will turn it green, clicking it again will turn it red. After you finish setting up preferences, walk to the door and choose a raid layout. If the raid has rooms you do not wish to do, you may re-roll the layout for 5 PKHonor points. You can hold your mouse over the X button and click it, and press 2 to quickly change layouts as shown. Once a layout you wish to do has been found, you can walk away from the door, which will save the layout until your team arrives or until you are ready to embark on the raid. The person who scouted the raid must enter into the waiting room through the doors first. Anyone who is in the chat channel is able to join you on the raid. Once you have everyone within the lobby that is going to embark on the raid, you can begin. I will now go through each room. Tekton. Tekton is a mini-boss within the chambers that is weak to crush. Upon entering the room, pray melee and piety. Tekton will step away from the anvil when a player gets within 3 to 4 tiles of him and choose a target. I suggest speccing him with a BGS or Dragon Warhammer at least once if in a group raid and twice if solo. Tekton will target a player and attack the player he is focused on every 3 game ticks. If that player steps away from Tekton on any tick that he is not swinging, he will return to the anvil and heal. If in a group, everyone should wait until you recognize who the tank is and then move to another side to avoid damage. The tank must stay put. If you are the tank, pray melee and stay above 40 HP. After a short time, if Tekton is not dead, he will return to the anvil and heal. While he hammers the anvil, boulders will target players and rapidly fall from the sky. If you're in a small group, you can find a 3x3 section of tiles in the room and move 2 tiles in a square pattern every few game ticks to avoid all damage. Step away from your teammates to avoid giving them damage from your meteors. If you are in a mass raid, I recommend leaving the room until Tekton finishes, due to the mayhem during this phase until Tekton leaves his anvil again. Tekton will again focus a player. This cycle will continue until Tekton is dead. I'll now showcase an advanced method to avoid all damage if you are the tank. By stepping away on and only on the exact game tick that Tekton would hit you, you can take no damage and also keep Tekton focused on you. The cycle goes, step away for 1 tick, return to Tekton for 2. I recommend all players learn this method because a slow Tekton kill can be the difference between needing to make more supplies and a quick raid. Crabs. Crabs is a puzzle room consisting of 4 different colored crystals. A glowing orb will come out of the wall and bounce in a clockwise direction around the room. In order to change the color of an orb, you must attack a crab with a specific style of combat and have the orb bounce off of it. Melee turns it red, range turns it green, and mage turns it blue. The crab must be turned the opposite color of the crystal you wish to destroy. For the black crystal, the orb must be white. For the blue crystal, you must turn the orb red. For the pink crystal, you must turn the orb green. For the yellow crystal, the orb must be blue. You can use your Dragon Warhammer or the Hammer spawn on the ground at the entrance of the room to smash a crab, which holds the crab in place for approximately 20 seconds. If you are solo or doing this room, it is recommended to smash crabs to speed the room up. Ice Demon. Upon entering the Ice Demon room, you will see trees and a bronze axe and tinderbox on the ground. Deposit your inventory into the chest at the entrance of the room. Grab both the tinderbox and axe off the ground. You will need to chop the trees to get kindling and light the braziers. The braziers with ice fiends at them burn quicker, but also deplete quicker. The ones without burn slower, but also unfreeze the ice demons slower. It is recommended to light the braziers without ice fiends first, because if all the braziers go out, the demon will start to replenish its ice. When Ice Demon is close to being fully thawed, drop the bronze axe and tinderbox, and grab your gear from the chest. When the Ice Demon is fully thawed, he'll come to the center of the room. Pray range or else you will get ice barraged. He will throw a boulder at a random person every 3 ticks. You can move 2 tiles to avoid all damage every time he throws one. Using Fire Surge in this room is very effective. All other styles of combat have reduced damage. There are 2 methods to fighting Ice Demon. My favorite is to use the door as a safe spot and pop out to shoot him. While using this method, you don't even need to use protection prayers. This method is better in small teams and solos. Another method is to stand in the arena, shoot and move 2 tiles between every shot. Repeat this until Ice Demon is dead. Shamans. Shamans have the same mechanics as they do outside of raids, except they have a lot more health and they hit harder. Pray range and preemptively move 3 to 4 tiles after every shot to avoid acid bombs. If you stand within melee range, they will melee you. They can also poison you, so this is where the Sandfew comes in handy. If you stand against a wall, Shamans will stay on the ground and occasionally spawn 3 tiny purple minions that will follow you. They will detonate after a short time. Stay away from them to avoid damage. If you stand away from the wall, Shamans can jump in the air and attempt to land on you. You can avoid this by moving 3 to 4 tiles if they jump. Shamans can be safe spotted from the doorway in some layouts using long-range weaponry. They can also be safe spotted within the room using the same method. Thieving room. Thieving is the most brain-dead room in the chambers of Xeric. To complete this room, all you have to do is open chests, grab grubs, and put them in the trough. Upon entering the room, click on the chest and deposit all of your belongings. Begin opening chests, which may contain worms, and deposit them in the trough to feed the scavenger. Once the trough is full, you'll stop getting points and a message will display in your chat. The room is completed. You may receive bats instead of worms. These can be eaten for points when your health is low, and will save you supplies in the following rooms. You may also receive a small amount of damage when opening a chest. If that happens, avoid opening that chest for the rest of the room, as it'll always be poisonous. Vanguards. Upon entering the Vanguards room, you'll see 3 squid-looking creatures. The one with 6 arms attacks you with melee and is weak to mage. The one holding stones attacks you with range and is weak to melee. The one with leaf petal-shaped arms on the ground attacks you with mage and is weak to range. All Vanguards must stay within 33% of health of each other. It is recommended to stay within 25% in case you hit really hard. If one of their health is greater than 33% difference of another one, they'll fully heal. Once their health hits 0%, the room is completed. If you're doing a solo, all of the Vanguards will attack the player. Their aggro range is larger than it should be in PKHonor, so this can become cumbersome. To avoid unnecessary damage, you may opt to lure the meleeer down the corridor. After they rotate, you can then damage the ranger and major from the corridor entrance. Vespula. This room is one of the rooms most people avoid. It's not a super difficult room when it functions properly. In order to beat this room, you must kill the portal across the room. Over time, Vespula's hatchlings will start to hatch. They will begin attacking the team. There are two methods to beating this room. One method is to turn on redemption and get dragged underneath Vespula as you shoot the portal. As soon as you see the XP drop, return to the tile that's safe. If redemption procs, your prayer will be turned off and you'll regain health. Wait until your prayer regenerates from a prayer enhance, or take a sip of super prayer. If your health drops below 9 HP, sip a brew. The second method, which is slower but also safer, is to designate one person as the grub runner while everyone else attacks Vespula. Their job is to pick the plants on the sides of the room and feed it to the hatchlings. The other players will shoot Vespula until she lands. Once she lands, the portal is safe to shoot until she flies again. Repeat this until the portal is dead. Tightrope. Tightrope is a room consisting of two platforms with a tightrope between them. One side has mages and one side has rangers. As a team, focus the mages first, praying mage and attacking them with range. Then proceed to kill the rangers while praying range. Once all the NPCs are dead, send one person across the rope to retrieve the crystal. The crystal disperses the aura around the door. For speed raids, you may send a person early to cross the rope as long as they are able to tank multiple hits or all NPCs have been aggroed by teammates. Guardians. Guardians consist of two statues. These statues must be damaged with a pickaxe. For better accuracy, be sure to put your pickaxe on crush. To avoid all damage in this room, you can stand 4 tiles away and click on the Guardian. You must instantly return to the tile you started on, spending no game ticks at the tile next to the Guardians during their attack. If one player fails to do this, the Guardians may swipe or drop a rock at the tile next to it, damaging anyone standing within 2 tiles of the Guardians. Don't be that guy. Vasa. Vasa Mysterio is another mini-boss within the chambers that will randomly choose a person to teleport to it and damage that person for around 90% of their current health. You may sip a brew after teleport, but before the damage procs, to heal some health without taking additional damage. If you are in a group, any player who runs to Vasa and stands next to her without prayer on will split the damage that would have been done to the person who was teleported. After the damage has been dealt, immediately put on Protect from Range and Rigor and shoot Vasa with range. Vasa will begin moving toward a crystal. Upon reaching the crystal, she will begin to heal her health until the crystal is destroyed. Attack the crystal with melee, preferably a stab weapon, until it shatters. She will repeat this cycle of walking to the center and going to a new crystal 2 more times. On the 3rd crystal she walks to, she will most likely only heal for about 5 to 6 seconds, before returning to the center to teleport a random player again. If she's not dead yet, keep your range equipment on so you can deal damage as soon as she leaves the 3rd crystal. The cycle repeats until she is killed. Skeletal Mystics. Mystics is a room with several undead mages, therefore a salve is recommended for this room. They are weakest to range and have a long range attack. Protect from mage and pick them off one by one if you are solo, or if you're able to, clump them up and run in between them while protecting melee. If you manage to get them within melee range and you have Protect from Melee on, you won't take any damage. If in a team, it is recommended for each player to attack their own mystic and get within melee range so no one gets focus fired by the mystics. Then you can Protect from Melee and go AFK until the room finishes. Muttadile. Upon entering the Muttadile room, you will see the baby Muttadile waiting at the door. Protect from range and enter the room. All 3 styles of combat work against baby Muttadile, however range seems to be the most effective. Try to avoid standing within melee range of the baby to avoid additional damage. After the baby gets below half health, it will attempt to go to the meat tree and eat to regain health. You have 2 options depending on your preference. You can Ice Barrage or ZGS spec the baby before it gets to half health to save time, or let it heal for additional points, but the fight will take longer. Once the baby has eaten 3 times, it'll no longer eat and can be killed. If it was frozen, it'll never eat from the tree. Once the baby is dead, the mom will come out of the water. Do not stand next to her. As shown in the clip, my teammate got stomped for an 80 KO. The mom can stomp you for around 90 HP. Continue shooting the mother the same way you did the baby until she is dead. Prep room and scavengers. If you think you won't be able to finish the raid due to a lack of supplies, you may make your own supplies. In order to do this, you must pick up seeds from the previous rooms or rake seeds from the seed patch at the chest before you go down into Olm's chamber. You must also get secondary herblore supplies from the random scavengers within the raid. There are 3 types of seeds: Golpar, Buchu, and Noxifer. You may plant these seeds in the final farming area for herbs. Golpars are used to make the primary potions needed for an overload. Buchu is used to make revitalization potions, which are super restores, Xeric's aids, which are Ceradon brews, and prayer enhanced potions, which is a potion that slowly regenerates your prayer over time for about 4.5 minutes. Noxifer is the final added ingredient to finish an overload and are used to make anti-poison potions as well. To get secondaries, you must kill scavengers. The secondaries needed from scavengers to make supplies are in Darkened Juice, Sicily, and Stinkhorn Mushroom. The juice is needed for brews, mushrooms are for restores, and Sicily is for prayer enhance. All 3 are needed for the overload primary potions. You may also choose to pick up planks to upgrade the group storage for additional points and more chest space. The Great Olm. Olm has 2 standard attacks that he'll randomly switch between throughout the fight: range and magic. The magic attacks are large green orbs, while the range attacks are smaller chunks of crystals. Both do the same amount of damage. Aside from his standard attacks, Olm also has 3 special attacks, which he attacks you with in a specific order. This order will never change, however specials can be skipped. He will attack you with Crystal Burst first, then Lightning, and then Swap, also known as teleports. During all 3 special attacks, Olm's melee hand will light up with a symbol showing you what it is that has been triggered. You will also see the attack appear on your feet or on the wall. During Crystal Burst, a small green crystal will appear under your feet. You have approximately 4 game ticks, or 2.4 seconds, to move from that tile, or you will be hit for around 25 damage. During Lightning, Olm's hand will light up, and a wave of lightning from the walls will cross the room. If the lightning hits you, it'll disable your prayer, and you won't be able to move, change gear, eat, or attack for around 4 seconds. Stand on a row with no lightning to avoid it, or you may choose to run through it if it's within 2 tiles of you when you click to run through it. When swap or teleports occur, different color auras will appear under your feet, and your chat will display a message indicated who you are paired with. You must stand on your teammate to avoid damage. For every tile of separation between you and your partner, you will take an additional 5 damage. If you're in a solo raid, a random tile within the room will light up white to match your white aura that you must run to. Olm also has an attack where he will target random players within his vision and shoot a colored orb at you. Your prayer will be disabled, and you will be drained for half your prayer. You must pray the correct style according to the color. A purple orb is mage, a green orb is range, and a red orb is melee. If you get the correct prayer up in time, you will take no damage. Olm has phase unique attacks depending on which phase you are in. During phase 1, he will attack you with acid attacks. There's acid drip and acid spray. Acid spray is easily avoidable, and he'll just fire random acid pools throughout the room. During acid drip, he'll target a specific player, and you will have to continue moving to avoid damage. All damage can be avoided if the player who is targeted stands still when the acid pool hits you. I don't know if this mechanic will exist forever, however it does exist right now. In the second phase, he attacks with the flame style attacks, Deep Burn and Firewall. Deep Burn will target a player who will get a burn effect that triggers every 8 seconds or so that says burn with me, and the player will take 5 damage. If the burn with me effect procs while standing within a tile of another player, they will burn too. Firewall is an attack where Olm traps a random player between two flame walls. The player can get out by using a water-based spell on the wall, or if a teammate uses one on the wall. If the player does not escape, they will be hit for massive damage, usually around 60. Phase 3 is Crystal Phase, and there are also two different attacks: Falling Crystals and Crystal Bombs. Falling Crystals fall every 2 game ticks on the player. If the player is continually moving, they will not take any damage from the crystals. This attack is very similar to Vorkath's acid attack. If this attack gets paired with being hit by one of the lightnings, it is the easiest way to die within the chambers of Xeric. Crystal Bombs are when Olm shoots out up to 3 crystals throughout the room, and they have a blast radius of 4 tiles. The crystal bomb does more damage the closer you are when it detonates. The final attacks or events within the Olm fight are the Auto Heal, Falling Crystals, and Life Siphon. Between phases, Olm will disappear and crystals will fall from the ceiling. Move 2 tiles away from the shadows of the crystals to avoid damage. When the crystals hit the ground, they deal around 20 damage per crystal. During the last phase, Olm uses Auto Heal, which randomly triggers the melee hand to be invulnerable. Any damage to the melee hand during this event will heal the hand for the equivalent amount. Life Siphon is the final event that occurs during the final phase during head phase. After both hands have been killed and you're in head phase, you'll see blue pools on the ground. After a few seconds, if you are not on the pool, Olm will heal depending on how many players there are and how many stand on the pools. Players who are not on the pools will take around 20 damage. Fight Breakdown. Upon entering the room, all players should stand on the melee hand, which is on the right side of the head. At the start of all phases, every player should use defense reducing specials on the melee hand. Players should then split between 3 roles within the room: Mage Hand, Melee Hand, and Runners. Mage Hand's responsibility is simple: don't die and attack the left hand with Mage. Melee Hand's responsibility is the same except on the right side. Players standing on these sides should be close enough to the wall to be out of the center section. In the picture you can see where the Mage Handers and Melee Handers should be standing. Runner's job is to make the head continue to turn between the 2 sides so that damage from Olm can be evenly split between the Mage and Melee Hand roles. Runners should be on the side that Olm isn't looking. If Olm turns center, runners must run to Mage or Melee side to get Olm to continue turning. Continue this process until both hands are killed. All phases except for the last phase, which is phase 3 if in a group of 7 or less, or phase 4 if in a group of 8 to 15, are the same. During the final phase, both hands must be killed within about 10 seconds of each other, or else the hand that was killed will fully regenerate. A safe practice is to always kill the melee hand first because of auto heal, which may make it so you can't kill it in time. Once all phases are complete, Olm will initiate head phase. During head phase, all of Olm's special attacks are at his disposal, and crystals will fall from the ceiling at a fast rate. If you have done CoX on OSRS before, this phase is much worse on PKHonor than it is on OSRS. Crystals fall about double the rate as they should unless in a large group. Using ruby bolts are highly recommended to chip hundreds off of his health until Olm is around 250 HP. To speed up the kill, you should hit the healing portals that are close to you and switch to a blowpipe when Olm reaches around 250 health. Once you kill the head, you have beaten the raid. The chest will now have your loot. If the chest lights up with a purple light, that means you got a raid unique dropped. I hope this guide helped anyone who is looking for information on Chambers of Xeric, and good luck getting those purples. If you did feel that this video was helpful, please leave it a like, share it to your friends, and subscribe.
Oh my god,
What? No more?
oh my god, you got a Denny B.